Show. Be inspired, be empowered. The Anouk Show. Thursday morning on GSSL Radio. Hey.
Welcome to another episode of The Anouk Show. I'm your girl, Anouk, and I'm thrilled to have you with us for our weekly inspirational journey. This show is designed to inspire, encourage, motivate, and empower you to make the most of your life. As we find ourselves in the last stretch of the year, it's the perfect time to reflect on the journey we've had so far and the dreams we still aspire to achieve. Whether you're looking to set new goals, overcome challenges, or simply find a little joy in your daily life, you're in the right place. Today's episode is all about embracing the gifts of this season: gratitude, resilience, and hope for what's to come. We have an exciting guest, so grab a cozy seat, maybe a warm cup of tea, and join me as we dive into this inspiring conversation today. Remember, your journey is unique, and every step you take brings you closer to your dreams. Let's make this final stretch of the year meaningful together. But we must first take a break to hear from our wonderful sponsors. Are you looking to amplify your brand? Well, look no further. Linked Superpowers is the company for you. Linked Superpowers is a cutting-edge global branding, social media, and PR agency. They help to reshape professional visibility and influence. They've been in business for a decade now, and they are on top of the game with proven results. Reach out to Linked Superpowers at www.linkedsuperpowers.com.
Are you ready to expand your knowledge and deepen your understanding of theology in a diverse, inclusive manner? Look no further than Peace Multicultural Theological Seminary, also known as PMTS. Open enrollment for 2025 is now available. Embark on an educational journey that celebrates diversity and fosters unity. Register at www.pmts-seminary.com. Don't miss this enriching opportunity at PMTS. For more information, call 888-505-8987.
The Anouk Show. Yeah. Anouk Hey, Show. What you say? Anouk Show. Be motivated. Anouk Show. Yeah, yeah. The Anouk Show.
Today, I am so very honored to welcome a truly special guest. And when I say special guest, I really mean that. This is my cousin, Jericho Brown. He is an acclaimed American poet and writer. His remarkable work has earned him numerous awards and recognitions. His profound and amazing verses offer a powerful exploration of identity, resilience, and humanity. So please join me in giving a very warm welcome to my cousin, the one, the only, Jericho Brown.
Hi, thank you. It's so funny. Thank you. Thank you, Ann. It's the first time you ever introduced me without mentioning the Pulitzer Prize. It's like every time you introduce me to somebody, I can always count on you to say Pulitzer Prize. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, well, I am so excited that you did get that award. And you got that, was it 2020 or 2020?
2020, height of the pandemic. They usually give that announcement in April, but they gave it in May because, everything was delayed as it was. And a lot of people talk about how becoming a writer doesn't necessarily change your life, but winning that award really did change my life. It made me one of the busiest people I've ever known. And I'm always grateful for it. I'm grateful for the recognition, but also grateful for the opportunity. It puts me in positions where I have more work to do, but that means I'm I feel like I'm giving to more people, if that makes sense.
It does. So again, I remember when we were notified that you had won that award and how excited I was. And you remember when we set up that family Zoom to congratulate you because we couldn't be there with you in person because of the pandemic. So I am one super proud cousin for all of the awards and recognition and the stages that you've been on and the hands that you've been able to shake. I just am just so proud that you're my cousin.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
And
you know, they did good with us, didn't they? Yeah.
God has
They
definitely
didn't do
been
a bad
kind.
job, you know. Yeah.
He has definitely been kind. And it's amazing that, when I think about the two of us growing up and how the two of us used to get in trouble from our grandmother from giggling all the time, I don't think she would have ever thought that you nor I would have taken anything in life so serious. But I hope that she's proud of both of us.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate that though. We had a lot of fun growing up and we played the
We
best games and we had nothing but laughter. We laughed all the time. That's funny.
we definitely did. And you know what? We're still laughing when we see each other. So it's still a blessing that
Still
God
getting
has
on
allowed
everybody's
us.
nerves from giggling.
Yes, yes, that's what we do. That's what we do.
Mhm.
So, cousin, I am so excited, as I said, for you to be on my show. As I started this Anouk show, I really want to make sure we're inspiring, we're motivating, we're encouraging, and we're empowering. And so, there's no better person than I thought about having on this show to do just that than you, my cousin. So, I would like to ask you a few questions. My
Thank you.
first question is, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced in your life, and how did you overcome them?
The biggest challenge I think I face daily is really the challenge of translation. And what I mean by that is I'm a person who, if you ask me what I do for a living, the real answer, the 100% answer to that question is that I'm a poet. And I know that being a poet allows me to do other things. You know, I'm a college professor, I'm a college administrator. I write other kinds of things. Obviously, I've written essays that are nonfiction and all kinds of other stuff. But at base and at the heart and at the soul of who I am, there is a poet. And so if you ask me what I do, I have to tell you I'm a poet. At which point people look at you kind of crazy. Do you know what I mean? And so I think one of the hardest things about my life and my job, even with my family from time to time, has been trying to explain to people what I do, which is always fascinating to me, Anne, because people don't know I call you Anne, but I do. Anne, because when you're a lawyer or a doctor, people who are not lawyers and doctors don't actually know what those people do either. People don't know what an engineer does unless they're an engineer. And yet there's something about saying you're a poet that makes people feel like you're not telling the truth. Do you know what I mean? So I think what's been important for me about that sort of lack in translation is understanding that that means that is a point at which I might not be able to be encouraged by all of the world, since all of the world doesn't know what a poet is. And therefore, I need to become closer to my own community. And in this case, the community of poets, the community of Black poets in particular, and any literary community, people who are interested in reading and writing. And those people have offered me the encouragement I needed to continue on as a poet. I'm saying this because I think often we have dreams that people closest to us may not understand. And that does not mean we have to give up on our dreams. Just because someone has never heard of the thing that you're interested in doing, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do that thing. What it means is that you build and find a community of people who also have those interests. And the bigger that community is, the more the people closest to you will be aware that you're okay, that you're actually working towards something that isn't something that you just made up. It's something many other people are interested in. And I think that's always, even when I was a kid, I think that's always been the biggest challenge. I am Whether I like it or not, every time I turn around, and you know this because you grew up with me, I am a writer.
Right.
Being a poet in that way isn't always something people get. Even when I'm dating, somebody will send you a text and it'll say, they send you a text at, let's say, 5:30, and it says sup, and I'll say reading a book. And then, at 7:30, I'll get another text and they say, so what you doing now? And I'll say, reading a book. And people don't believe it's that much reading in the world. Do you know what I'm saying? But there really is that much reading in the world. And I have to know what I'm doing before anybody else. And I have to trust in the thing that is in me that tells me that that is what I need to be doing. And I have to work toward that in a way that involves community. And that doesn't mean I get rid of my family or I get rid of loved ones. It just means that they become aware of what I've been doing later. What was wonderful about that Zoom that you mentioned, and I have to tell you this now, it was one of the most beautiful days of my life because people on both sides of my family had a moment where they could acknowledge, oh, we see you. We see what you've been doing. We understand, and that took a long time to really get that kind of acknowledgement. But I know it's an acknowledgement that every poet in the world doesn't get. And even more important than the Pulitzer Prize itself, it was really wonderful to see my family all together on that day. I feel this way about my line brothers too. My line brothers have been so supportive of my work. And I think at first they had no idea. They were like really confused. And now they're like, oh, okay, so that's really what you do. And there is a way to make a living at that. And that's none of my business. You know what I mean? So yeah, so translation is probably the hardest thing that I've had to overcome.
Yeah, so that was a very good concept to call it translation. So it's almost like if
Mhm.
you know this is what you are called to do and what you're passionate about, go do it and find a support system, find a network, find a community to help
Mhm.
you along the way, and
Mhm.
that others will catch up and they'll figure it out. So they may not be able to be on that journey with you right now, but
Mhm.
eventually they will understand it by and by, right?
Mhm.
So kind of tell me who are some of the individuals of inspiration who have significantly influenced your path and what impact have they had on your journey?
A person that you and I have in common, I have to say, that I don't always mention, but since I'm here talking with you, that I can mention would be the Reverend Carlton Pearson. Pearson's um, bravery and his belief in God all the way to the last translated word of the Bible. Um, is something that I always admired, and I always admired his willingness and understanding that belief might mean he would have to give up. If he believed what he believed, it meant that he might have to give up the trappings of belief that we associate with megachurches, with money and with big, large congregations and audiences. And so I think something about that has always been an inspiration for me, knowing that you're doing the right thing and that what's important is the feeling of doing the right thing, not the reward of doing the right thing. That in the midst of doing the right thing, the reward of doing the right thing is actually how it feels to do it. And so I think I learned that from him. I think Stevie Wonder has always been a really important artist to me. I love his lyrics, and I love how his lyrics and his music empower people and add to culture. One thing that is really interesting to me about music most recently is that you can really see artists continuing to add to culture. Most recently, through the beef with Kendrick Lamar and Drake, we've gotten work from Kendrick Lamar that I think runs so wide that it is really changing how we think about ourselves as people. And that's a big deal in terms of contribution. And I'm interested in that. I want to write the kind of work that leads to a contribution, that leads to the opening and the expanding of minds. And I believe that the opening and expanding of minds collectively begins to change how we see one another and what we believe we can do. And so that's he's also been a huge influence for me. So those are a couple influences. I'll stop there because that list gets long.
Yeah. Stevie Wonder. So you've met him?
Mm-mm.
Uh,
No, I've never met Stevie Wonder. Interestingly enough, it's funny you would ask me that question because um, Stevie Wonder sort of, I mean, he is one of those artists, right? That, no, I've never met him, but I feel like everybody who hasn't met him knows him anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like I know all the work. And I think that's how he has inspired me is through his work. You know who I did meet though? I met Gwendolyn Brooks,
hmm.
who's a great poet. She's the first Black poet to ever win the Pulitzer Prize. She was Poet Laureate of the United States under a different kind of a title, but still Poet Laureate. She was I met her actually when I was a student at Dillard, and she took some interest in me and in my work, and she believed in me. She sent me a book in the mail, and I've always thought of her as a huge and looming figure. Her work is really complex, really, I think, dense in a way that's quite beautiful, and I love the way she makes images. So I would call her a big influence as well.
Yeah, and what I was pointing out with the Stevie Wonder comment was that in life you can have people that inspire you and influence you that may not necessarily be in your direct circle, or maybe someone you've never met, but you've seen them in action. And that can be motivation and inspiration for you to go further and achieve what you want to achieve. So I have one final question because I know that time is winding. Is there any general information? Again, this show is about encouraging, motivating, and inspiring and empowering people. Is there any general words of encouragement that you want to share with the listeners?
I'll just say, I think it's a little easier for me because I believe in God, but whether or not you believe in God, you might imagine that everything got here somehow, right? And I believe that God is everywhere. And if you can believe in God and believe in a God that is everywhere, a God that knows everything, a God that is only good, only compassion. If you can believe in that, then you can also believe that God is in you, that God works through you and as you. And as the people in my church like to say, the only human hands God has in this world are our hands. And it's our job to do the work of the Lord every day, all day long. And even in our sleep, when we're getting our rest, we are pleasing God because we are, he says that, that's straight from the Bible, right? That our delight pleases him. So I want, I guess, to finally say that God is in everything and that it is our responsibility to see the good in all things, even if those things seem complete tragedies. And it is also our responsibility to see the good in one another. When you can see the God in every person you meet, then you are actually seeing who people really are. So that's my last word there.
Thank you. Thank you. So, cousin, if someone is interested in purchasing some of your books of poetry, or they want to book you or just get back in contact with you, how can they do that?
It's really easy. You can get my books at jerichobrown.com or by going to any bookstore. If they don't have it on the shelf, they'll probably have it on the shelf. But if they don't have it on the shelf, you can order it there or on Amazon or on barnesandnoble.com. Obviously, I prefer for people to use whatever your independent bookstore is in the area where you live. An independent bookstore like Karis Books in Atlanta, Georgia, for instance, or Brazos Books in Houston, Texas, for instance. There's so many bookstores that I love throughout this country now. I'll get on your nerves listing them all. So if you want a book, you can do that. You can also follow me on social media. I don't use Facebook as much, but I am on Facebook. I'm easier to find on Twitter. I'm at Jericho Brown on Twitter. I'm at Jericho Brown 1 on Instagram, at Jericho Brown, the number 1. And I'm easy to get a hold of, and you can send me an email. My email addresses are all public. I'm also agented by the Blue Flower Arts Agency, and they pretty much schedule all of my appearances.
Cousin, thank you so much for taking out time to be on the Anouk Show. I personally want to extend my personal heartfelt thank you for you. You are so incredible. You're so powerful. Your words are always so insightful. I just love the impact that you're making around self-awareness, your resilience. And I just encourage you to keep doing what God has called you to do and continue to make that impact. I really, really am very proud of you. And
thank you so much, cousin.
All righty, well, keep being great.
I love you.
Love you more. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Check out www.linkedsuperpowers.com and let them take your brand to the next level. www.linkedsuperpowers.com.
If you want to be entertained, pick up your copy of the book Never a Dull Moment by Ronald Eric McIntyre. Available at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.
If you missed last week's episode or any episode of The Anouk Show, just go to my YouTube page, which is Anouk, A-N-O-U-K, Brumfield, B-R-U-M-F-I-E-L-D, and you get access to all the replays absolutely free. If you enjoy them, please share it with someone else. I really do appreciate you for being part of this Anouk Show family. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Life in our modern world can indeed be challenging, filled with distractions that can easily pull us away from what truly matters. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle, and if we're not mindful, we can lose focus on our spiritual journey and connection with God. And now for the soul. Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, which says, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." This scripture reminds us to prioritize our spiritual well-being above all else by focusing on what is truly important, our faith and values. We can maneuver life obstacles with a greater confidence, clarity, and purpose. Being mindful in the midst of daily life, taking time to pause and reflect can help us stay grounded. Meditation and prayer can provide moments of peace. It is important to evaluate what truly matters to us. By setting priorities that align with our beliefs, we ensure that our actions and decisions reflect our commitment to our spiritual walk. Surrounding ourselves with others in the church can be helpful because of the encouragement and the uplifting it provides a sense of belonging. Life is a journey of growth and learning. By embracing opportunities for personal and spiritual development, we remain open to the lessons and blessings that each day brings. In this ever-challenging world, maintaining a focus on God and our spiritual path requires intentionality and effort. Yet by seeking His kingdom first, we can find a sense of peace and purpose that guides us through this life challenges. This is your inspirational moment by Minister Derek Renter.
It's inspiration time. Come on and renew your mind. Everybody, it's inspiration time with Anouk.
In the silence of the night, when the storms begin to rise, I feel your presence, Lord, so near. You're my strength. You're my guiding light. There's so much going on, but I'll stand firm on your word. In the chaos and in the calm, your love is all I hear. When the world shakes all around, I find peace in your embrace. For in you, Lord, I am safe. There's so much going on, but you remain my faith. Every trial and every tear, you're my hope. You're always here. Through the valleys I roam, with grace I'm never alone. There's so much going on, but I stand firm on your word. In the chaos and in the calm, your love is all I hear. When the world shakes all around, I find peace in your embrace. For in you, Lord, I am safe. There's so much going on, but you remain my faith. Mountains may crumble, oceans divide, but in your arms I will abide. Every worry, every fear, I lay them down, for you are near. So I lift my voice and sing. In the trials, you are my king. There's so much going on, it's true, but my heart will trust in you. As we close this year strong, we're at the final stretch. I encourage you to keep the faith, stay in the race, and you will close the year very strong. I am very thankful to Mr. Jericho Brown for gracing the Anouk Show today, and we would also like to congratulate him on the most prestigious, the MacArthur Foundation Award, where he was announced a 2024 MacArthur Fellow and received what's called a Genius Grant. And one of the things I would like to say that he said as someone interviewed him after he received the news around this recognition, he said, I always expect good things to happen. I just don't know what the good things are going to be. So I encourage each of you today is to expect good things to happen. And they will happen. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be inspired and keep on keeping on. See you next week. Hang in there.
The Anouk Show. Yeah. Anouk Hey, Show. What you say? Anouk Show. Be motivated. Anouk Show. Yeah, yeah. The Anouk Show. All right. I pray that you've been inspired.
Protect your peace. Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3. He will keep you in perfect peace. Keep your mind stayed on Him.
The Anouk Show. Be inspired. Be empowered. The Anouk Show. Thursday morning on GSSL Radio.